Well, this is my last video for the evening, and it's about the two Romanians that were jailed for smuggling migrants out of the UK. Not smuggling them in, smuggling them out. So let me tell you what my first reaction was. My first reaction was, why arrest them? The UK should be grateful that someone is trying to take them out. But I didn't understand the full import of the situation, which I shall share with you via this story of an imagined migrant. So imagine I'm the migrant. I don't know what day it is anymore. Days blur when you stop living by dates and start living by chances. I know it's cold. I know the light outside the window fades early. I know the door creaks when someone else moves in the building. Those things I still notice, but calendars? They stopped mattering a long time ago. I came here with a passport once, I remember that clearly. I held it tight like it was a shield. I thought paper could protect me, but paper expires. Visas end, and when that happens, the ground doesn't open up. The sky doesn't fall. You just quietly slip out of the world everyone else lives in. You don't become a criminal in your own mind. You become invisible. At first you tell yourself it's temporary. Just a few weeks, a few months. I'll sort it out. I'll go home. I'll move on. But home isn't safe anymore. And moving on costs money. Money you don't have. Money you're not allowed to earn. That's the trap no one explains properly. You're not allowed to stay. You're not allowed to work, and you're not allowed to leave. People assume you can just walk out, get on a plane, catch a ferry. But planes ask questions. Ferries ask questions. Even buses ask questions now. Tickets require names. Names require documents. Documents require permission. And permission is exactly what you don't have. So you stay. You stay in spare rooms, in overcrowded flats, on sofas that aren't yours. You learn how to be quiet in ways you never had to before. You learn which floorboards creak. You learn not to flush the toilet at night. You learn to keep your bag packed, just in case. Every knock on the door sounds the same. Every siren feels personal. People talk about illegal migrants like it's a fixed identity, like you wake up one day and choose it, but illegality is not a personality. It's a condition, a waiting room with no exit signs. And the worst part isn't the hunger or cold, it's time. Time stretches when nothing else moves forward. You don't age properly. You don't plan. You don't imagine. You only react. Your life becomes a series of small calculations. Is it safe to go outside today? Is it worth the risk to buy food for myself? If I get sick, will I survive it quietly? And then one day someone notices you. They always sound helpful at first. They speak softly. They already know your situation, which is terrifying because you never told them. They say things like, you don't belong here. But they don't say it cruelly. They say it like it's a fact. They say they can help you leave. That word leave lands differently when you've been trapped for months or years. It sounds like oxygen, like release, like dignity. They don't say smuggling. They don't say arrangements. They don't say danger. They say quick. They tell you that the UK is hard, too strict, too suspicious. They say other places are easier, kinder, less paperwork. They say your life can start again. Just not here, and when you have nothing, again, sounds like hope. You ask about documents, they wave it away. You ask about safety, they change the subject. You ask about money, they smile and say, we'll work that out. that's when you should run. But run where? You can't go to the police. You're terrified they'll lock you up. You can't ask for help publicly. You don't exist on paper. You can't argue. You owe money already. Rent, food, favours, so you agree. Not because you're reckless, but because you're exhausted. On the day you carry nothing important because nothing important belongs to you anymore. No photos, no letters, no proof you were ever there. Just a jacket, shoes you can walk in, and fear packed neatly inside your chest. You don't know where you're going. You don't ask. Questions feel dangerous now. People think being smuggled out means freedom, but often it's just another handover, another country, another language, another set of rules you don't understand. Sometimes it's worse. Sometimes the debt grows. Sometimes the control tightens. Sometimes you realise you weren't being rescued. You were just being moved. This is the part missing from the headlines. When smugglers are caught taking people out of the UK, some people laugh. At least they're leaving, they say, as if borders are bins and humans are rubbish. But the direction doesn't matter. What matters is who holds the power. When criminals control movement, no one is safe. Not migrants, not citizens, not systems. It turns desperation into a marketplace. And the people at the bottom, the ones without papers, passports or protection, they pay the highest price. I imagine sometimes what it would feel to walk through an airport openly, to queue without fear, to show my face, my name, my past, to exist again in daylight. I don't want special treatment. I don't want shortcuts. I just want a door that isn't locked from every side. And until then, people like me will keep living in the shadows, and others will keep profiting from that darkness, not because we want to break the law, but because the law has left nowhere for us to stand. And I thought I would do it in that format because I thought it would be a bit more touching and more relatable. Because sometimes we don't kind of think about what's going on. You know, I saw that headline, like I said, in the Metro last week, and I thought, why would Romanians be smuggling people out? It didn't even occur to me that there's people in this country who can't leave normally. You know, you forget that if you're an illegal, well, not that you forget, you just don't know. If you're an illegal immigrant, you can't leave, can you? Because you need a passport and all these documents. If you stay, you're going to be detained. You can't work to survive. So it's like a prison. And it never occurred to me until really examining that story and stepping in a migrant's shoes who's overstayed for whatever reason and who wants to leave but can't. And the only way out is to be smuggled out, and then only to find that being smuggled out opens you to exploitation and all kinds of dangers. It's horrifying. But that's the world we live in, and I hope by sharing this story it can help you also to relate. Not that we can do anything because we don't have any magic powers to make everybody illegal or ship them all out and send them to safety. We don't have the powers to do that. So we just have to be aware and conscious and not judge, not poke fingers, and just try to be a little bit more empathetic when we hear these stories and try to understand these stories a little bit better. But until that day, I'll keep on vlogging and hoping I'm sharing a little bit of the world with you and some of the news stories to help it sound a bit clearer. And that's all for now. So I'll speak to you soon. You take care now and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.